Good afternoon, all, and thank you for joining us for another Secret Sunday session here today. Today, I am joined by Juwan, and I'm very privileged to have him on today because it's kind of a little different type of interview that we're going to do today, because I have had the privilege of going to school with Juwan in high school, and today we're going to talk about his story and also about growing up and being, I guess, an uprising footy star and the pressures that that can bring and the tolls that that can play on your mental health. So we're going to start the conversation and talk about Juwan's story today. So tune on in. But basically the first question I'm going to ask to you, Juwan, is who are you and what it is that you are doing with yourself now?
Yeah, thanks for having me on this, Ash. Pretty excited, so thank you. And so what I do right now is I just work full time. I've got a job down at Hereford's. I'm just a orderman there, so I do that Monday to Friday, and then on the weekends and in the afternoons I play at Tweed. So I play at Tweed Seagulls there, and I'm in the 20s squad, so I just do that for my weekends and play football there with the boys, and sort of that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment.
Awesome. So obviously you're very invested in the football environment. Did you always want to play rugby league?
That's been my goal since I knew what a goal was. Like the first thing I did when I got taught about a goal, or making something or plan for the future was NRL, because it's just sort of, I grew up watching on the TV. I had an older brother who played footy, so me being a little brother, I've always aspired to be just like him, and I think I've grown up naturally competitive, so I always wanted to be better than him. So I think I just gained all those little things at an early age to want to grasp that and become an NRL player one day.
Yeah, awesome. Now, if we talk about the high school experience, obviously our experiences were definitely completely different, and we both went to such a big school that we generally didn't even cross paths much. How was the high school experience for you? I know you were very involved in football and rugby league. How did you find high school?
High school was very football orientated. Most people might not know, but some people might. But it's a very football culture there at school, or from what I figured out. And I went to Palm Beach, so it was all about the Reds. And from year 8, you're sort of bred into a system where you get taught how to, play football. You get taught skills. You get, NRL clubs coming to teach you at a young age how to do certain things, and pretty much set you up for a pathway to the NRL, and or at least becoming a better player, which they did well. So I've been there since I was in year 8. So from year 8 to year 12 was pretty much just playing footy, and sort of school was sort of secondary to me. Like I was so focused and invested in it that my whole life was footy. So I would focus on that first, and school second, which is probably not a good thing. But as I got older, I sort of changed my mindset a little bit. But school was very, very football orientated, and it taught me a lot.
Yeah, so obviously with football being such a priority during high school, how did you know that that's what you wanted to do? I know you said that that was a goal for you, but when you are so invested in it, how did you know you wanted to be an NRL player, or was it just pushed on you to be that?
No, it definitely wasn't pushed on me. I just set it a goal. I just set it as a goal from a very young age. So I've been fortunate enough to make probably every rep team I could have made leading up to year 12 in my age group, from under 12s to pretty much under 18s. Like I was in all the top teams, and I think out of habit, I enjoyed the achievements. I enjoyed achieving things. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which is good and bad. It has its good and bad perks to it. But the good side of it with football is that, I trained the house down at home, at school. I made sure everything was, perfect. So come footy game, I was the best I could be out there. And, so it was all me. Like the goal was me. I wanted to, push myself, and that's just how I've always been. So I would say it's a lot of myself.
Did you ever get sick of it? Because I know at school there was a lot of subjects, a lot of training, a lot of pushing, as you
Yeah.
said, that Reds culture. Did you ever get tired of it?
To be honest, I never got tired of it up until the year after high school. So because, like I said, my priority was football. Like there was like we did so much training that there was English and maths first and second period, and we had early morning training, and I actually like would wrap a towel around my head and actually sleep on the first and second period, and and the teachers, I sort of think I gained a bit of a friendship with the teachers, and like they just let me be. I told them I'll do my work, which I did. So I think they just had that trust. But yeah, but I was so knackered and invested in footy that I'll just be sleeping half the school. And some of the boys would tell you that too. But that's just because we got flogged in fitness and everything. So yeah, but yeah, tired of it was definitely the year after, which I'll probably get into eventually.
Yeah. So if we delve into what happened after high school, you've obviously been devoting so much time and effort into your rugby league career every single day. And then after high school, what does that look like? Because all of a sudden that stops, and I guess that's then up to you. How did you manage
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
what did you do?
Um, so yeah, year 12, just before I dive into that, year 12, I had probably a pretty perfect year for myself. I won the schoolboys with PBC. We were the best team in the country, school wise. I made the Australian schoolboys, which was a great achievement for me. That was my whole high school goal was when I get to year 12 to make that, which I did. With a fellow friend Tommy Dearden, who went to PBC as well, who's now playing NRL. But and so yeah, when I made that team, that was the pinnacle of high school life. I haven't entered adult world yet, but my whole growing up was to make that team. So when I did, it was at the end of the year. We went on a five week tour to England, which we came back just before Christmas, and we played several games over there, and it was a massive experience and learning curve for me. Being around the best players in my age group and older than me, for 5 weeks straight. So it was a massive thing. And then going into the next year, I came back from the tour, and I missed half of preseason because of the tour. So when I got back, I had about 2 weeks of rest from a massive year, school, graduating, a lot of learning there, the schoolboys tour, and pretty much went straight back into, full on training with the Tweed team that I was currently in. And I think I sort of pushed myself. I feel I didn't get enough rest. Well, I know that now. I learned that eventually, but that was 2 weeks where like usually you get an 8 week break before you do any type of footy again. And I also started a new job, my very first job, straight out of high school, which was a football traineeship. So what that entailed was Monday to Friday teaching kids how to play football. And I spent my Monday to Friday afternoons training myself and then playing also on Saturdays. So for me, I had in my head a bit of negativity, like I need some rest and that, but because I'm a perfectionist and I like to do things well, I sort of shoved that aside, which then did affect me later on in the year. So so I played Mount Meninga and everything like that. So they went for about 16 weeks or something, which after coming back from the schoolboys tour, I then won with the team that we're with. We won the nationals for Tweed for Mount Meninga. So it was a year and a half of just complete, which I was very grateful for, and everything was awesome. And then after we won the nationals, I was still working at Titans. I started, because my contract, I started training NRL once a week, which then turned into 2 to 3 times a week straight out of high school. Because I was doing preseason at the end of the year, so they were getting me physically prepared for that. So I was working at Titans, doing football stuff, teaching kids football. And then halfway through the day, I would train with the NRL squad. And that was my everyday. And then after school, I was going to Tweed and then playing on Saturday. So I didn't realize it at the time, but you know, I was flooded with football. So I went from school where I had a bit of, you know, English, maths, distractions, you know, mates, weekends doing things, and football was something to look forward to. Where straight out of high school, it became
Your life.
pretty much a lifestyle, and yeah, my life. And I never obviously been in that situation before. So after the nationals, I played 20s about 1 or 2 games, and then I debuted for Q Cup at 18 years of age.
Yeah.
So I debuted that going to PNG with the Q Cup team. And, you know, that was another pinnacle. Like I was 18 years of age, playing with men straight out of high school, and then training NRL. So I was doing everything you could think of as an 18-year-old kid. You know, for me, that was the dream. You know, it was what I wanted. That's everything I strived for, and I was doing it. And yeah, after that, after our debut cup, there was a bye and then another cup game which I played. But during that bye, I hit a massive wall that weekend. And, you know, what I know now was, you know, the start of my depression story was for me at the time just a massive negative mindset, which I thought that's what it was back then. Because when I had that weekend, you know, I had the weekend to myself. I was hanging out with my mum and dad and the fam and my siblings, and I've never felt that good in ages because I've been so busy. And then after that, like we had a training on Tuesday, and me going to train that Tuesday, I never had anxiety before or even knew what it was. But I remember getting on the car Tuesday afternoon after working Monday, Tuesday at football, and like, you know, what I know now or think is a panic attack. I think I had that, but I know I had that, and yeah, and I've never been so negative to go to a training like, and you know, I like being a boy or a man, I cried in the car, and you know, I was so scared. I was so scared to go to training, but I shoved it off quickly as I do, and she said, "Oh no, what the heck is going on?" You know, snap myself out of it, like what the heck. And I went to training, Prey Cup that week, and scored a try in my second game. You know, like the dream run. And after that, I just snapped, and I don't know, I just broke down after that game. Came home, and you know, I don't know why I was breaking down. I was going through all these emotions that I've never felt before, and pretty much just told my dad that I think I need a rest from footy before I go to preseason at the end of the year. Because if I keep going at this rate, I don't think like I'll be able to handle it. And you know, that sounds so easy saying that, but that in itself, like that was massive because I'm not a talker. I like to, you know, man up and go do this, do that. And to tell my dad, who's been so supportive of my family, that I don't want to play for the rest of the year, or the last 3 quarters or the last quarter of the year, you know, was unheard of for myself and for them. So they were confused. It was a very confusing stage. So that sort of was the very start to what I know now. Yeah, has been my last year and a half of my story. So,
wow,
you know, yeah.
Wow, it's incredible. And thank you so much for sharing that journey. I know how tough it would have been. And if you don't mind me asking, going back to that pivotal moment, what do you think, looking back now, what do you think triggered those panic attacks and that time where you were like, enough's enough, I need a rest?
I don't even know. Like I don't know. I think, well, in hindsight, I look at it and just think, you know, first I didn't get enough rest after coming back from school, boys, for myself, and then I know, like I know the work. You know, I was getting sick of the work. I was getting sick of football in general. Like working, like teaching kids how to play football and doing it myself is two different things. But doing it all together, I just started like getting to training because I made it sound like that training was the only training that I got anxiety, but like I never got anxiety before that. But I was hating training. I was still going sweet and everything, but I was like passing the ball, doing all these things with my mates that usually, you know, I look forward to, and like I was just sitting there in a slump, like, what am I doing? Like, I want to go home. I don't want to be care, like,
Yeah.
and it was just a massive, and that's what built up to the anxiety, because I was just so negative towards training throughout those weeks leading up to that training I didn't want to go to.
Yeah. And how did you react when you thought, or looking back now, seeing that it was a panic attack? It would have been something that you probably weren't familiar with and probably scared that you were having. How did that make you feel in that moment?
It was. So I've had a few this like from the last year and a half where I understood what it was, but back then, I don't really know what it made me feel. I was very angry at myself for even feeling that way, like for feeling scared to go, for feeling completely and utterly not keen to go at all. Like I felt a bunch of emotion I never felt. Like I didn't even want to see my mates. Like I don't want to see the coach. I don't want to have to talk. I don't want him to come up to me and say, "Oh, Juwan, you did well on the weekend, but there's a few things you need to work on." I didn't want to hear anything like, and like, it was very daunting feeling, because I feel like I've been in control of a lot. I thought I was in control of myself through high school and coming out of it. I was like, oh, I'm a man now. I'm 18. Everything's going so well, and then to feel all those feelings all of a sudden was it was scary. I was more disappointed in myself. I was genuinely pissed off at myself for even feeling that way, for feeling vulnerable, for feeling all these things. So I think the main thing was more anger at myself, because, like I said, my perfectionist personality, I was angry at myself for feeling that way, and then I was trying to evaluate the whole situation. I just couldn't figure it out. So then, like, I went insane, for that whole hour that leading up to it. That was the first thing, was anger and a bit of confusion, like why I was feeling that way.
Yeah. Did a lot of the anger and the frustration come from, I guess, the perception in society that men should be strong and that we shouldn't show weakness and men shouldn't have anxiety attacks?
I definitely think so. Yeah, I definitely. Well, just quickly, I had a girlfriend at the stage who, Ashley, and she talked about depression and anxiety to me. Not that I brought it up, but just she was teaching me. I would ask about it, and she went through things in her personal life which gave her those things. So I used to think, I honestly did think, like, because I never knew what it was, like, oh, that I was emotional and sad for her that she's gone through it. But to myself, I was like I'm glad in my head, like I'll never go through that. Like anxiety, like feeling scared, like I'm not scared of anything. Depressed, sad, hating life, I'm the most grateful human being out there. Like I'll never feel that way. So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that you have to go through that. But in my own head, I was like, I'm glad I never have to go through that. So when I had that anxiety, like you said, and well, naturally, I did think, well, that's a woman thing, honestly, because she told me, and then her mom was like telling me, and then I asked my mom, she's got it, and I was like, man, so sorry for a woman, like they have to go through all these scary emotions, like, and I was like, lucky us men are tough, like we got it good.
Yeah.
And so there definitely was a bit of that, because when I did have that, all the symptoms were exactly what she explained to me. So I sat there and was like, as an 18-year-old boy, like I'm not a girl. I had a tear coming. I was like, why am I was saying all these mean and horrible stuff to myself. Like I'm this, I'm that, because I'm feeling this way. And then like I snapped myself out of it, because I was like, I cannot feel this way. This is not right. Like, make sure, I was thinking about going getting some clear eyes so that the boys wouldn't think I was crying. Like just because my eyes would have been a little bit red, all these things. But so definitely, to answer your question, there was definitely that involved. Yeah.
Wow. And is it something because obviously I don't know about the footy talk and even the footy culture. Is it something that guys talk about? Like, do you talk about how you get anxious for even going on a date, or scared when, you go to pass the football, or if you're going to score a try? Do you talk about your emotional state with the guys?
No, never.
Why do you think?
No. Well, I think definitely, like in the last 5 to 10 years, definitely the social media, because we look at that 24/7 and you see all those. I think we just grow up like, I grow up with a dad and you just don't see him do it. So I think a lot of boys who have a dad around, you know, because their dad are from the generation where really we've learnt it from, where you had to be tough, back in, like, we're at that age now where our parents are from that stereotypical background. So every story is the same. My dad grew me up tough. I wasn't allowed to cry. I got discipline. I never knew, I never had to feel this or that, or else, I wasn't a man. I had to work, all my life was working, like just that typical old school growing up as a man. And my dad definitely didn't put that onto me. He never said anything like that, but it was more his actions. Like, I'd never seen my dad cry. I've never seen my dad upset. I've never seen him vulnerable. I've never seen him vulnerable, So I thought, but I see my mom cry 24/7. I see her open up, and then my dad naturally, because of how he's grown up, like, woman, like. So I just heard all those little things that just, naturally, as a kid, you see all that and you just go, okay, well, boys don't cry, boys don't talk about their feelings. You watch the movies like Gossip Girls and stuff, and you hear like they talk about all the emotions and they get together and drink wine and cry and everything. And I'm like, you don't see no movies with boys doing that. So like, no. So yeah, nah. So I think that's where it comes from. But yeah, to answer your question, nah, we don't do that.
So then,
I honestly don't think it's we just don't.
Yes. So what did it take then for that moment you said, when you said enough is enough, I need to take some rest, and you went to your family, you told them that you needed a break? Why did you go then, if you've had so much, your whole life telling you that, and even the man stigma that you shouldn't talk about your feelings? What changed your perception and made you to talk to your family?
Yeah. Well, it's probably going to get a bit dark now, but for me, it was, I experienced suicidal thoughts. I was nowhere near going to act on it, but slowly, just stupid thoughts started creeping in, like, you should do this. And then I would completely, like, what the heck, like, what the heck? I've never thought of those things in my life. But naturally, they started creeping in, and then they just got, they came around in my head more often leading up to those weeks. And, I was so, and, a lot of it's myself. Like, I'm not a talker. I won't tell. Like, if I'm upset or I'm angry or I'm feeling a certain way, I'll go to the room and close the door and go on my phone or do something to distract myself. And I wake up the next day and like it's a new day. Like, those feelings are gone. And then of course they come back later again that day. So my parents were completely oblivious. I'm close as to my sister and older brother. They were completely oblivious. Yeah, I would say, dark and, bad thoughts were creeping in. So that's where I naturally went, all right, Dad, like, this is what we're gonna do. I got to stop playing. And yeah, well, actually, on that topic, I didn't actually tell him I was getting suicidal thoughts, because I was knowing how I'm going to tell my dad that. But a little story. My little sister passed away like when we were very young.
I'm sorry.
And nah, you're all right. It's all right. But I used that because my dad did bring that up. He was like, you get into the age, son, where you're understanding things, and like, is it your sister? You're feeling just sad, and you're going through delayed grief. And I knew it wasn't. Like, I knew for a fact it wasn't. But I used that. I said, yeah, I am. So instantly, he snapped his fingers, called the Titans, because I was on contract, told them, all right, this is the go. He needs a break. Can you provide that for him? And they were like, Titans were awesome. They were like, yep, we'll give you a break up until preseason, so you get a whole 2 months to just do what you need, get yourself ready to be in the NRL world. So because it was so easy like that, because I used that as an excuse, I thought for those 2 months, I'll get myself right. I'll get ready. The NRL's coming up. I'll forget about whatever I've been feeling on all of this year, and I have a 2 weeks break, do whatever I want. I'm still getting paid pretty well at our age, so I was like, I'm just gonna spend and do whatever, have fun, and by the time thingy comes, like I'll be 100% sweet. So that decision happened. I remember the meeting. We had a coffee. They said, "Yep, have the break," and instantly I felt good. But what I noticed in those 2 months is after about a week of sleeping in, doing what I wanted, boys, let's go to movies, my shower. Like I do whatever I want now. I'm not working. I'm not doing footy. All those feelings started coming back, and I was confused. I was very confused. I said to myself, like looked in the mirror and said, I've had too much footy, and now I finally got a break to get myself right. I've had a week, and now I'm feeling this way again. And then, yeah, that last month and a half, I was feeling terrible again. Like I didn't tell my parents. I didn't talk to my parents until which we'll get to. But so they're thinking I'm fine. They're thinking, oh, he just needed a break because it was he's having a bit of grief. So they're oblivious. But in my mind, like I was going through hell in my mind, which I know now, like I said before, is depression. But back then, like I didn't know what was going on with myself. I was confused. Yeah, I was just very confused. But I kept pushing it aside and delaying it, which only built the balloon up for more air to explode one day. So it still wasn't exploded yet. It was still, I'm okay. I'll get through this. I don't know what the heck's going on. Like maybe I'm just going through a bit of, I'm 18 now. Maybe my man mind's coming through. I don't know. I had to find something.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, so that happened. And then, yeah, time passed, and then preseason came up. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So when you came to preseason, do you think that you were mentally ready for preseason?
Well, 100%. Like my mind at the time, everything that was going on in my head, because I didn't know what it was. I said, I worked my whole life to get here. I'm finally here. I'm training with people like Jai Arrow, these NRL players. I'm training. Like it's not like it was my job too, just as much as it was theirs job. It wasn't like I was a kid coming through and training once a week like I was. Like I was in the team now. And like, I was very proud of myself. I was like, I deserve this. All these things. And because of all those things I was feeling before, when it got to 2 weeks out from preseason, I snapped at him and said, I'm here. Like, so I felt completely fine for 2 weeks leading up to preseason. Did preseason. I started on a certain day, and that 2 weeks, it's pretty tough preseason. Like, it's probably the most grueling thing I've ever experienced. You go from training an hour a day to training all day was your life,
Yeah.
And especially with men. So I was a lot sorer than just tackling my own age group. You're tackling people 3 times twice your age. So that was, a test in itself. But it was tests that I was used to. I've been through footy, I've been through hard training, but I knew what this was all about. I was like, I'm built for this, which I was very confident in myself. Like I was made for this. Is my gift. And about 2 weeks into it, I hit another wall. But it wasn't a wall where like, oh, this maybe I'm not ready for this physically. Like maybe I'm not good enough yet. I hit a wall which like I now know again, it was a depression wall because I hit a wall of just complete like lack of motivation. Like all of a sudden, same thing. I didn't want to go again. But like those 2 weeks was like the best times of my life. Like I was loving life. Like no negative thoughts. I was like, yeah, see, this is what I just needed to wait to. I just need to get here and then I'll be sweet. And in 2 weeks, then all of a sudden, it was a bang. Like I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. All these negative thoughts, and obviously because I'm obligated to go, I kept going. So it went weeks after weeks, and yeah, what I noticed is that there was a particular Monday after a weekend of sitting there in my room by myself thinking I don't want to go, I don't want to go. After weeks of saying that to myself, I had another panic attack on the Monday, and and yeah, I had a panic attack and got to training, and I was thinking of everything I could do to maybe pull out, but like it's not like work where you can say I'm sick. Like this is your life. Like you're on so much money where like you can't do that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go and just push through. And I got in there, showed us up to the boys. Everyone's happy. I was acting happy. I was putting a face on, and we went into the gym to get warmed up. And like I just saw the gym. I saw the weights. I saw all these training things that I usually love, and I went to the toilet and I actually vomited because of how like anxious I was. I was so anxious, like, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know why all of a sudden I'm feeling this way, and so unmotivated. I didn't want to do it. Just all these feelings just crept out of nowhere, and it just hit me like a brick wall at one stage. And yeah, it was significant because that week too we had a trip to Sydney, and that was a rookie camp where they picked three rookies to go into this camp to learn about the life of being an NRL player.
Yeah.
And that week also I was home alone that week, so that my whole family was in New Zealand. So I was alone that week and had that panic attack on the Monday and was feeling 10 times awful that whole week when they were away. And on the Friday before we were about to go to the rookie camp, I found myself like crying on the floor. After training, I got home and I was like, but like, I don't know, like once I snapped out of it, I don't know why, like while I was on the floor, I had my shirt off. I was like, I had a shirt on, like all these things. And quite awfully, I actually found a knife next to me. And, I don't know what I was going to do. I still don't, because I honestly don't know how I got into that where I was. I was in the kitchen on the floor. All the lights were off, home alone. It was about 8 at night and I should have been packing, but I was on the floor, hands on my head, resting my face and just bawling my eyes out with like the scariest thoughts I've ever felt. And like still I was confused. I don't know what this was. And mind you, I had a girlfriend at this stage, I had family. I didn't tell anyone. Like I was just, battling this all on my own. So
God,
yeah, and
it breaks my heart. It really does. That you could be going through all of this and feel so alone as well. Like it just truly breaks my heart, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. Because it's not, as you said, it's scary, and it's not something that anyone has to go to, especially when you're confused about it.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't mind me asking, but in that moment and many of those moments when you felt anxious and at the point when you were getting those suicidal thoughts, how did you get through it? How did you push through and come out the other side and then continue to go on with your day and continue to just suppress it all?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's like very traumatic of what you've been through, and to just wake up and continue to just soldier on.
Yeah, well, that was the first time where like, I told you I've had these thoughts and I was going through certain things, but I was just pushing it. But that was the first time where like I properly broke down and like, like I feel like, I'm a person who believes in God, and I feel like that was the first time I've ever met what they call the devil. Like,
Wow.
and like, I feel like, I can get angry. I feel like I can be an aggressive person on the footy field and everything like that. But like, what I feel like I can do on the footy field anger wise and like get into the zone is what like I felt like the devil was doing to me. Like, and I felt like a little kid. Like I was so scared. I was terrified. I felt like, I don't know. And I'm 18 years of age doing NRL preseason with men. So I'm thinking like, well, at the time I was, I was absolutely cracking myself. I was praying like, God, please help me, whatever's going on. Like, I don't know what's happening. And then, yeah, I just snapped out of it. And I guess just how my whole footy I spin, it's just keep going. Like nothing really stops. Like so after that, I saw the knife and I was spent half an hour thinking like, what was I going to do with that? I didn't know, and you know, it's just the way I am. Like I didn't think about calling my mum or dad. I didn't think about calling anyone. I just thought, like, I think I was going through all this whilst trying to be strong, whilst being confused. So like, I just put the knife away. I went upstairs, started packing, went to sleep, woke up, went to the airport, saw my best mates, Toby, Tristan, and they were like laughing and like, I don't know, at the time, I was just so good at acting or something because I spent 3 days with a bunch of people my age and like that night before, I was in a difficult spot that I'd never been in before. And we went to the rookie camp with a welfare manager. Like, I could have easily said something to him, but I didn't. So I don't know how I got through, but yeah, that was the first experience with that type of thing. And everything started when we got back from Sydney, like when we got back from that rookie camp.
Yeah. In terms of starting, what is it that you are talking about when you say everything started?
Everything started as in like what's the word? But everything I've been feeling and sort of pushing away, everything started that day, or that week. So I couldn't push it away anymore. I felt like I lost all my lies in my head, like saying I'm good and all that type of stuff. Because that week, like, I had to go trainings, but I vomited every day going to trainings that week. And then on a Thursday, I didn't go. I didn't go to training. I didn't tell Dad, I didn't tell Titans, I didn't tell anyone because I actually went for a massive drive down to Kira Beach onto the hill, and like it was sort of like the knife situation. I ended up there, and I didn't really know what I was doing there, and yeah, she was kind of sick because I sort of had plans to like injure myself in a way. Because I don't know what I was going to do, but like that morning I had plans to sort of go somewhere, injure myself so that I don't have to go training anymore. Like that was my mindset. I don't think I was ever going to do it because I knew I didn't want to, but like I wanted to as well. Like I was just very confused and sick in the head at the time. And then the Friday morning I got in trouble for not going, and I still didn't say anything. But the Friday morning I didn't go as well, and I spent like, it's kind of embarrassing saying it now, but like I spent 2 hours of the morning on the Friday not going, trying to like, I was literally, because I broke my finger in the past, my left pinky, and that through footy. So my thought that morning was, all right, so it's weak. I want to do all I can to break it so that I can get in the cast and not train for 6 weeks. And it's, hearing it now, being in a good headspace, it's very embarrassing to say that out loud. But yeah.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all, because it's obviously you're in such a different mindset then, and your mind was so determined to pull you away from the sport.
Yeah.
Do you think that you fell out of love of football for such a long period?
I think so. Yeah, there was a lot of things that probably contributed. I fell out of love, like I told you. Like football got too much with all the work of football and doing so well at football. I think for me at the time, I know now that maybe I wasn't ready, and I pushed myself so much to be ready that I couldn't accept it at the time, or didn't even know what accepting it was because I was already in it. So I thought it would be sweet, but yeah, it was definitely fell out of love.
And the pressure, do you think the pressure became too much for you as you said, at such a young age to be doing so much of it, and I guess having your career set up for you, that pressure would have been immense.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. Yeah, it was extreme. Well, I only got so bad, which we're getting to, all this stuff is because of the pressure, because I don't want to tell anyone because, I was signed, I was obligated to a contract. I've told my parents and my family that's all I wanted my whole life. And when I started getting feelings that maybe I don't love it as much, I was like, I can't tell my family. I can't tell the Titans because I'm obligated. I can't really tell anyone.
Mm.
And a bit of young-minded. I thought like I'm the best, one of the best there is right now. I can't just not love it. Like, well, that made me look like like an angry, ungrateful person. Like I got all this coming to me, but I don't want to. Like who would do that? Who would do that in their right mind? No one. So I was like, oh, I can't feel that, and I just kept pushing those feelings aside, which came out, which I've been talking about. So yeah, definitely pressure.
Yeah. Do you think as well you kind of didn't want to admit, you're saying a lot, you didn't want to admit to your family, but also you didn't want to admit to yourself that, like, what would I do without football? Like a bit of loss of identity.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I just didn't want to admit it then, but yeah, admitting it to myself was definitely one of the major ones. Yeah, well, I've never thought about a second like career path my whole life, so it wasn't even like thinking about it now. I never even thought about thinking about it because like it was never a thought. Like I would never disrespect myself saying, "Oh, I could do this," or like football was it and all it. Like that's just how it was.
Wow. And so if we look at, you went through such a challenging and a dark period for quite a big time where you had to take a break from football. At what stage did you talk to your family or ask for help and I guess start the journey onto where you are today?
Yeah, so that week that I was talking about it, yeah, well, that morning, that the finger situation, mom actually caught me where I was trying to do it. Like she sort of knew something wasn't right, and she saw like the equipment I had, and yeah, and she broke down in tears, saying like, because she still doesn't know what's going on. She's like, now what is like? First of all, she was shocked. She's like, aren't you meant to be at training? Second of all, it's what the hell are you doing with that? Third of all, it's like, talk to me, son. Like, I need to know something. Like, you're not letting us in. And so that was sort of the point because I broke down and sort of let her know briefly. But at the same time, I just still didn't know what was going on. So it was very hard for me to explain it.
Mm.
But I pretty much told her, my words were, Mum, I think I'm going crazy. And I told her, I think I need to go to a mental hospital. And she was like, what the heck are you on about? And it's like, I do. Like, I don't think I should be left alone. And then, you know, that led to talking to my dad, which led to pretty much me explaining to them that I was going crazy because I still didn't know what was going on. So what we told the Titans is that they went ahead to talk with them and say, pretty much Juwan's not right. He's saying all these things. He's tried a few things, and we need your help. So Titans are awesome. They told me straight away. They said, all right, well, first thing we're going to do is stop you from training and get you some help. So they got me help. They got me to a psychiatrist, and she was a lovely lady, which helped me a lot. And that was pretty much the first step to everything. But it was also a step to things getting worse as well.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So
Why do
that
you
was the
think it was the
first.
first step for it to get worse, do you think?
I feel like there was, I have to explain it in a timeline, but like, well, same thing. Like I thought, all right, I don't want to be training. I don't want this anymore. Everything like that. So when I finally got that again, I got time off. I got help. I got everyone's support. I thought that was gonna be cool. Like like finally a break. Finally all these things. But with that became a different type of pressure. It became a pressure of I had a certain time until I came back to training. So that was pressure. It was I had a certain time, for example, 6 weeks, and by the fourth week, I was still feeling the exact same as I was during preseason. So it's like, shit, I only got 2 weeks left, but I'm still feeling this way. So then, that led to more, pressure and, bad thoughts because it was like a never ending escape. Like, it was fine. I got what I wanted. They said, have the break. We'll still pay you. We'll get you this help that we'll pay for and come back at this time. So I had that time. And then when it came back to like a week away, like I had more episodes of trying things and like, which delayed it. And then they gave me another break for longer. And it just, with the contract, became so many different complications. But long story short is that at a certain time, I, challenged myself to be courageous enough to just tell mom and dad and to tell them what I wanted, which was I just don't want the contract anymore. Because even though you guys aren't doing pressure, you guys are helping me more than enough. It's hurting me, like having this contract, because there's obligation. Like there is still an obligation to come back. There is an obligation to, just to make sure I'm still fit, so that I don't want to train. Like I don't want to do anything. Like during that phase, like I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I got a little bit, wasn't obese, but a little bit overweight than what I'm used to. Like all these little things. So yeah, long story short, I quit my contract at a certain time last year, and pretty much just said I couldn't do anymore. And then with that came more pressure because I didn't have money anymore, and I've never worked in my life, and I was living at home, and I was still wanted to help the fam like I have been, and then I had expenses that I was paying for with my contract money that now I have to pay for with no money. Like all these, it became a heck of a year. Yeah, it was.
Wow. So you ended up going in and out of cycles almost repetitively after going through a break and then going back into training and still not having to deal with all these emotions and still not understanding what they are. Do you think now, looking back on your whole entire experience, that you've really learned that you still want to play football? Because a lot of it sounds like it was an unsteady and an unsettled relationship with football, and that was what was bringing up a lot of the emotions. Do you find that you've reconnected with football and you've learnt to love it again?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I've learned so much. It's been 2 years now of, being, a year now of being out of it. Being the superstar to being the broke guy at home now, working no job, to now I'm playing again. I got a job. I'm financially stable, and I got all these things going for me. So, but not only that, like I just learned so much about myself. Like I learned that from going to a psychiatrist, I had depression. I learned that, I was told or even with the psychiatrist, like I was told that even if I wasn't doing NRL or even if I wasn't doing any football, he thinks what I was going through depression-wise still would have happened. It just would have happened. Just say you're on a holiday, it would happen on a holiday. Like, so I don't think, because we came to a conclusion that obviously the pressure added to it and me not talking, but what I was going through was just something that was going to happen no matter what. And so a lot of things were hard to accept, because, I was on the verge of, cracking the NRL at a certain stage. And for me to pull out of it was one of the hardest things I have done to this day. Like, short life.